beginning our day. And this is now the period of time when we're starting to get ready for winter retreat, and that's looming. So, but also it's good to put a lot of space around it, just that we don't have to do we will do a hard stop with certain things, like for the monastic community, we're going to do a hard stop with the computers after January 4th. But with other certain things, like little work things that need to be tied up and stuff, just putting space around that, even though the plan is to start the winter retreat on January 6th with a 3-week meditation intensive group practice, and do encourage everyone to try to get their minds around that, and just we'll talk about the schedule of that a little bit later. But it's also good to know that we do have some space. We don't have to stop work completely. There'll still be little things happening. The world keeps turning, the world keeps moving, even though we go on to retreat. So we still have to look after basic things. Even when we're on retreat, we still have to look after our bodies, which is a lot of work and a burden, and just have to deal with the defilements, which is even harder than working, actually, sometimes. So it's sometimes we can actually try to escape from the defilements through working, through doing a lot of activities in order to not have to look at them directly. And if mental obscurations and defilements is coming up really strong, sometimes there are skillful things we do that where we can help the monastery in various ways, and we can do there are craft things that we do in the monastery, and we can do certain things if we can't just be with the mind currently, then there are other things we can do. We can sweep, we can help out in various ways, and that helps us to get out of ourselves. Sometimes in the meditation, it's easy to get hyper-focused on ourselves and our own defilements, and then I think it's brilliant that the Buddha talks about generosity, because generosity is really coming out of yourself and really focusing more on somebody else, whether it's working in the kitchen or on the monastic side, upataking, attending to the senior monks, or on the part of the senior monks, attending to the rest of the community. So in a way, we're all trying to come out of ourselves. So for everybody on the senior side, Ajahn Kurdama, Ajahn Seik, myself, Ajahn Sudhiro, and Ajahn Suhajo, and even the Majjimas, focusing on how to help the newer monastic community members coming up. So that's a form of service. And then for the newer people, doing upataking and attending to more senior monks, that's also a way to come out of the mind, and it's a very skillful way to stop thinking too much about oneself, and it's hard to do. It's a hard practice for most people. Some people are naturally generous, so this is the natural Dhamma. Some people, they may not even be Buddhist, they may hold some of their religion or not have a religion, but they're naturally generous. We might know people in our lives who are just naturally generous and always giving of themselves. And it's good to notice that those types of people tend to be quite, have a sense of well-being also. So people who give a lot of themselves will tend to always be, not always happy, but always have a deep sense of well-being. And also a sense of purpose. But if we tend to think about ourselves too much, and we don't really want to think about others or help out, and we're just focused on our own practice, it's going to be much harder to develop happiness and joy. Really, that happiness and joy comes from really coming out of ourselves. So when we develop things like generosity, then that really goes into the meditation. So I know some of the most fulfilling meditations I've had were after doing after overextending myself with some work project that maybe I wasn't into at first, and it was just for the community, it wasn't for me, there was no personal investment in it, and yet then sitting down to meditate afterwards, after doing something like that, is really would lead to having a good meditation. So it's good to note that the generosity is very much connected with how we practice and the way we serve, the way we give of ourselves. Of course, we don't want to overextend ourselves or burn out. We do need to really take time for ourselves, but that it's more that mind state of thinking about ourselves too much that we're looking to get at, to start to unravel that. And it's like Luang Por Sumedho, even after he was 30, 40 vasas, he would say, whenever I think about myself, I get depressed. So, and he doesn't really have much to be depressed about. He's led a very, very skillful life, and everybody makes mistakes, and Luang Por Sumedho's made mistakes as well. And even Luang Por Cha made mistakes, but it's how can we learn from them, and how can we keep moving forward in a way that we keep giving of ourselves, which then really helps the practice to mature and develop, helps to ripen the mind for letting go. So as we go about our day, just those are a few things just to recollect. And when we do work too, we can really establish mindfulness while we're working. It's not that we have to go really slow, because mindfulness is not a speed, but it's that we develop a sense of care and attention in everything we do, rather than I got to get this thing done so I can move on to the next thing. Then we're not really present for that thing that we're doing, and then the quality won't be as good. But when we have a sense of care and attention for everything we do, then the quality is really top notch, and it's very fulfilling, and it's pleasing to everyone around us as well. So I'll leave that for reflection this morning.